The Nutcrackers' War has left the inhabitants of Planet Christmas hopeless and desperate for heroes. Dozens of provinces and villages have been taken over by General Almond and his evil soldiers who aim to rule the planet and capture all the Christmas spirit that's left. But out of nowhere, a new hope has arisen. Our young hero Garrett is on a quest to find Father Christmas, who he believes is the only man that might have the power to dismantle the war completely. Garrett, and a leader of the small but mighty Christmasville militia, could be the only chance the planet has at returning to its jolly old self. But several questions remain. Where's Father Christmas, and why has he not stopped the war already? Who is Jack Frost, and what dark partnership did he have with General Almond? And what evil lurks behind the drawbridge of Castle Wenceslas? Raphael Sam will once again be the interior artist of this second issue. I, Ryan Haack, will continue to write the story, and Tom Barton, our great cover artist, will draft the 5-page backup story, The Tragedy of Jack Frost, as well as drawing the variant and main cover of the second issue. BRIC-A-BRAC is back and better than ever. Please help us make this a reality.
Well, and there you have it. Let me just unmute some people. I should have done that slightly before, but hey, here we go. And we also have another person here, Blue. Welcome, fellas. Welcome. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
And Blue and Joe, great to have you here, as always.
Hey, I was just over on my Mac finishing off the export of my little review, and then I got the message that we're going live right now.
Did you not get the message that we were going to go a little bit early today?
Correct, I did not.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, yes. Hello, everyone. We're early. Mo, you can't attack me. We normally stream an hour later from now. Ryan requested that we stream at this time, so I said, yeah, sure, why not?
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm in quarantine here, so yeah, I can just sort of shuffle my work hours around, no problem.
Awesome.
As well, let's say hello to the lovely people who turned up an hour early. Rick is here. He says, yay, I'm first today. Great to see you, Rick. VIP is here. He says, Hell CG. Great to see you here, VIP. Poland is in the chat. He says, I've modded the whole chat. The lad has gone mad. Yeah, you can thank Jason Black for that. He was like, I see a lot of the same people in your chat every day. I think they deserve a reward. And I said, yes, they do. So, yeah, a lot of you now find yourself as wrenches. Use your power wisely. Leroy's here, says, what up? How you going, buddy? Todd's Truth is here, or as we like to say, Todd's Truth. You may have noticed, Ryan, that I have an Australian accent, so I do say some funny words sometimes. Boogiebot asks, am I late? No, you are early. Hey, howdy, hey, how you going?
This is yesterday's stream. We're still going, Boogiebot.
I know, yeah.
Very late, yes.
VIP is already throwing links in the chat there for BRIC-A-BRAC 2. We're going to take a look at that campaign. It's looking really cool. And I think we've got a couple of fans here on the panel, so that's going to be interesting. Elargo's here. He says, "Hell CG, how right back at you, buddy." Poland wants to know, how dare I go on an hour early? Well, you know, we accommodate our guests. Guests are everything.
We do.
Well, we like to say we do.
Immediately defensive.
I am killing it with the streams. I need Ronnie and James back. I'll bring the army. Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. That was good. All right, and I think we are all catched up. Oh, no. Unhinged Entertainment. How you going, man? Great to see you here. All righty. I'm looking at a sea of avatars on my screen right now. Why don't we share the window to this cool-looking campaign? BRIC-A-BRAC. Ryan.
Yes.
What I like to do here with a new guest while we start, before we dive into the story, is get to know you a little bit.
For sure.
A bit of your history and how you got into comic books, just whatever you think we might need to know about Mr. Ryan Haack. You got 2 A's in your name. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It is pronounced Hawk.
Haack,
But yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So kind of like a German. And how did I got into comic books? I would just say, I guess kind of some of the comic books I really liked was the New 52 stuff. That's kind of when I was at the perfect age and I'm 21 now. So that was kind of, if to give you a little bit of a timeline, that was kind
You're
of
an
like
old man
perfect.
now.
Yes, an old man. And that was kind of the perfect timeline for me to get onto the books, regardless of if people liked a lot of the stories or not. I thought that, Peter Tomasi and his Batman and Robin was amazing. I thought Aquaman was amazing. Batman was great. The Action Comics Superman was amazing. And so, some of those books were like really, really great and easy jumping on points. So I would say that was where I began really finding an interest in comic books. And then I was like, well, how are they made? And I kind of fell down the rabbit hole of making them and then writing prose, just writing all different kinds of things. So now I have my own podcast where I read my own short stories twice a week. I do a lot of crowdfunding stuff. And then I have my own web comic, The Unspeakable Text, which we have about 30 stories up, and we'll be crowdfunding a second volume of that webcomic series at the beginning of next year. So that's kind of my overall comic book.
Did you say you were 21 or 41? How are
21.
you fitting all this into a life? Like, when did you start? When you were 5?
No, I started when I first read comic books, really. So about, again, like I said, like New 52 around that time. And but actually actively producing comic books about 2 years ago. Actually, so just about 2 years ago, and I've just been collaborating with a lot of people and going online, and it's just really great to be able to make books like this happen. I'm really blessed to be able to work with great artists. I go on ArtStation, and that's where I found literally every artist I've ever collaborated with, and I'm so blessed, especially with this project. I feel like these are some elite, amazing artists. I'm so blessed that they're basically gifting me their talents for this. And so I think it's a lot of luck that I really ran into all these amazing artists, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, you are paying them, I presume.
I am, yes. Yes,
I mean, there's that
still,
as well,
Yeah, but they still trust in my I guess, I don't know, and trust in me, because I think at first they were like, oh yeah, you're really young, I don't really trust that you're going to pay me. And then I eventually was like, okay, when I first succeeded the first campaign, they were like, okay, you paid me. So there was a little mistrust because I was very young, but they trust me now.
The only other guy that I've heard of this young is Carlo Rowe. Is there anyone else, guys, that you know of who's sort of early 20s doing this?
No, it was Carl. For a while it was Nasser, but then I heard he got out of the comics game. So
I think he got back into it, but
oh,
yeah,
did he? Okay.
Carl and Nasser. Yeah, I mean, because it's obviously, we all know how much goes into this, and for you this is your second campaign, so maybe you've had other campaigns.
Yeah, well,
okay,
so
projects
just in the last year, I've failed 4 campaigns, and I kind of just kept trying and trying. So I failed 4 campaigns in the last year. I've succeeded 2, so overall I've done 6 campaigns.
Okay.
In the last year.
Yeah, so Colton Crux was the other success, and BRIC-A-BRAC won those 2.
Yeah, the Unspeakable Text and BRIC-A-BRAC won. Yeah, so the first,
Okay.
exactly. Yep.
Well, you know what I like to say to anyone who's failed, if you come back after a failed campaign, that just usually that's a real big positive for potential backers. They see that, okay, this guy isn't going to just give up, and he's not here just for the money.
Right. Yeah.
There's obviously a passion, going on here.
Yeah, for sure.
Is speaking of passion, is this a? I mean, it looks like a kid's story, all ages story. It's an all ages story, I should say.
Yes, it is an all ages story. That's exactly 100%. I mean, I would say, especially with issue 2, there is more drama for sure. The first one was definitely about the journey, about meeting the characters. This is definitely, there's more drama. And as with all sequels, the characters will be at their lowest by the end, because obviously it's a 3-part. We're going for 3. And so, yeah, the characters are just at their lowest at the end of it, but it's nothing too crazy. There's not like, it's kind of, I would say, a Pixar-ish Disney movie, a very classic journey story, but with familiar characters, and a really trying to make it a really meaningful mission that our character's on. He's not only trying to find Father Christmas, but really he's trying to find what Christmas means to him. And I think we all do that too. And we kind of go through an identity crisis when we're figuring out what Christmas means to us, because we get so many people telling us this isn't real, gifts don't mean anything, this is stupid, so it's hard once you become more of an adult to understand and actually appreciate Christmas. So this story is really deeply about his own journey, finding what it means to him, and kind of going out into this crazy world that's war torn, and kind of figuring it out for himself. So
Ryan, when you started writing years ago, I guess that'd be 5 to 7 years ago.
Yes. Yep.
When did you? Because everybody says you learn to write by doing it. Okay, but you also pick up tips and maybe you look up how to structure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How did that start for you? Did you look into how to structure a story at some point, or
for sure? Yeah, for sure. I was really into screenwriting stuff. I think, there's a really amazing YouTube channel that's on, it's called Film Courage, and they have some of the best screenwriting advice. And that some of those old videos I used to watch, there's a David S. Goyer video who obviously wrote The Dark Knight. And I remember vividly watching those videos and stuff like that. And then a bunch of really great script videos. But actually, when I was a sophomore in high school, I had really out of sheer luck, because my writing was not that good, I was accepted into a kind of an art school that had a writing section, a writing a discipline, I guess, department. And so I was taken seriously, because I was in an area where there was no one else who did what I did. I was kind of a weird, by the time I left my first high school at the end of my sophomore year, I was so alienated from people. I was just like, I want to be around people who do the things that I do. And I was so lucky that I got to go to that school. And so after that, now I'm just I live in New York City now, and I go, to school, but my thing is really, I want to become kind of a professional writer. That's kind of my goal eventually. I want to not only write novels or screenplays or this or that. I want to, have my own company or do that kind of thing. So that, the sky's the limit, so it's just, kind of learning that too, is like, you could do this and you could do this and this and this, and it just keeps building. You don't just put yourself in one box.
I see. Now, the reason I asked that is there's a lot of structure. I did not know you were going to be on today, and I just read part 1 last night.
Yes.
So I just found out right before, I probably didn't finish the message that said we're having you on, and I thought that's good. I was going to go shoot a review of this like between when the message came and when we're in 8, like later. So I didn't know you were going to be early either. I guess I didn't finish reading. Sorry.
Horribly.
So that's compressing right now in the background as we speak. And I noticed on the very first page or second page, sorry, we're introduced to Garrett, and then what's up with you, and he tells us who he is. He says that he can't wait to get out of the sugar plum island or cove.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And he is told, well, in a year when you grow up, you'll be able to leave, and we Guardians can't stop you. It's like right there structurally that tells the reader this is what the story is, and it's like, oh yeah, he did this really well. You laid it out, pretty nicely. You've got a lot of beats in here too.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly. It was, again, it's the journey story. I think I love journey stories. I've been used to, especially in the comic book realm, because I've never done a full-length story like this. All of them have been short, so I really wanted mine to just be a really fun, like, long journey. I love those kind of stories. Like, again, we're kind of alluding to the old Rankin and Bass movies, such as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or, Year Without a Santa Claus, and we're trying to capture that, short but sweet. Like, all those movies are like an hour, but there's a lot in them, and we're kind of going for that classic structure, but with a crazy setting, huge impossible odds and space battles and all this awesome stuff.
So space battles, cool.
Were you going to ask something, Blue?
No, I just thought Space Battles was really cool.
Unhinged Entertainment asked, have you checked out Writing Pros of Red Valkyrie? That's actually where I was reminded of BRIC-A-BRAC. It would seem like last week or the other day or something. You were on Shay's channel.
Yes. Yeah, a couple days ago. Yep.
So yeah, I've seen this campaign around, but I hadn't looked into it too closely. But yeah, Shay's great, and she's obviously really into the whole writing side of stuff. Someone as well had a comment. Was it Doomsday Kingdom Army? So this is a Christmas book. So I guess it's probably it's a little hard because you've got to be promoting it now in the in the middle of the year,
exactly,
for a Christmas release.
Exactly.
You got to get people thinking about Christmas now. It must be a little bit of a struggle doing that.
It's a little bit, but I don't know. I think that it's hard, but there's the whole Christmas in July thing. I think that people commonly know that it's kind of a. Yeah, it's hard. I don't really. It was especially hard when I tried to do one of my failed campaigns in May, and it was going to be kind of like the end of this whole thing, the whole collection of the story, and it failed very badly. And I think that does have to do with I think the anticipation of Christmas for the first campaign really did help us reach the goal. And I just want to make sure that with this campaign, I can get it to people by Thanksgiving. That is what I really want. And so if I have to extend the campaign so we reach our goal, so be it. But I really want to make sure that people can get it, because last time they got it in January, early February. And I think that people were a little down by that,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And there were circumstances that lended to that too, because I failed the campaign. The first BRIC-A-BRAC, I failed that campaign. So, my plan, I had this whole plan orchestrated, and it just didn't work out. And so we had to do it on Indiegogo. And so this time, I hope that we can make it happen. I believe we can get it to people by Thanksgiving, 100%. So. Yeah,
and as well, Doomsday Kingdom expanded on that, saying he can definitely see there's a niche there in new Christmas stories. We know on Netflix, they're just desperate to find the next kind of movie that everyone watches at Christmas. They'll be pumping new stuff out every year. So there's no reason why we can't do that in comics as well. I know in our family, we love Christmas. I have 2 young kids. Christmas it's that magical time of year, and it's just like Christmas starts taking over our house in sort of late November. So if you get that get that good book that the kids love, it's just fantastic. But that is an extra pressure for you that doesn't really it's not really on most other people who are putting out campaigns. There's no actual kind of hard deadline that you really do.
Right. It's a little awkward.
Get it to you. So this is the first one here that we've been scrolling through.
Yep. These are the first.
This is the one that Joe and Blue have read, and they seem to have high praise of it. Were you going to say something, Joe?
Yeah, I was just going to say that one of the things I wanted to mention, and it was a pleasant surprise finding out that Ryan was going to be on the show, because I had no idea until Mike notified us that we were going a little early tonight. And I was really impressed, Ryan, with the quality of the materials you used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if the chat can hear this, but I'm just gonna show you. This is a single page. Now listen. You hear that?
Nice.
I don't know if you could hear that, Mike.
Yeah, it was a thud.
Okay, that's a single page. That's not the cover. That's just a page. The cover, this was shipped in a bag and board with a board, and I appreciate that, Ryan. But I'm telling you guys in the chat, this cover is so solid. If it had not been board, if it had not been boarded, I'm confident it would have arrived in the same condition.
Yeah.
So the materials are top notch, and I was quite impressed when I received it.
Yeah, we wanted it. Well, actually, I know it might not be noticeable, but the book is actually 10 by 7.
Yeah,
I think. And so, it is. And so even to that point, it kind of just feels a little bit different from a standard book. And then we also added we wanted to make it look a little bit like in the interiors. We wanted to make it look like a golden book, the little golden books,
Oh,
and
okay.
the additions of the little golden books. And so that's why you see when you open up the back or the covers, it kind of has the green and the
Right.
red and the little mistletoe going
Mhm.
on. So
The
we
art-
tried to,
Yes, I'm sorry, Ryan. I thought you were pausing for a moment. I was just going to say the art design on this is fantastic.
Mhm.
Did you do you have like a graphic design, or is that something that you?
No, it's not. I'm very new to Photoshop, but I have some really talented friends. So my letterer Tobin did the interiors of he did the design for the little golden book section, and then the person who designed the actual logo was my friend Milton, who is we're actually doing a book in October together, a superhero book, a creation of his own, but he made that kind of design, so it does look really sleek. I was surprised at how great they turned out. Actually, it was really cool
As a parent, I know, if I'm reading a book with my kids, there's a lot of reaching and grabbing and all sorts of stuff that goes on. So a nice sort of thick page book is preferable to anything that can just be poured at and ripped apart really easily. So there's that added extra little bonus there if you are going to be reading it to your
This
kids.
is easily the most durable single issue comic I think I've ever touched, let alone owned. So it's quite impressive.
Yeah, I'm looking through mine now too. I'm like, yeah, it is heavy. You don't even realize it until someone tells you. Like,
I look at this stuff. I get a bunch of books because I'm looking. I'm going to be printing at some point, and what kind of paper do I want? Do I want that thicker paper? Can I have that thicker paper? Because my book is a thicker book. I have to think about weight and all that sort of stuff. But it looks like these two here, are really impressed with the product that you put out in the first one. So
Yeah, and what's funny about this gloss that you used, I have another book, also Comicsgate, or I don't know if whatever, but it has a gloss on it, and that gloss is so shiny it actually takes away from the book. And your gloss is like it's natural. It looks like it's part of one piece of paper, not multiple layers. It's like that was a real, and the feel of the pages inside. Whatever paper quality you're using in there, the surface on them is just really nice. That too. So let's not forget that.
There you go. Compliments all around.
There we go. Awesome.
Look, Boogie Bot is saying it's good quality. The way VIP is saying this, I have to say back the hack. I can't say
Balk the
hawk.
We can make that exception. Yeah.
Kino Subways here says hello everyone. And so let's dive into this because
For sure.
It's sounding cool. All right, let's start scrolling down. BRIC-A-BRAC. Here we go. The Christmas Odyssey continues. Who's this big snowman dude?
Yes. So with issue 2, we're introducing a lot of new characters. But the familiar character is General Almond, who is the bad Nutcracker character, who's being who's in. This is the really big fisticuffs scene in the book. But the big ice guy is Jack Frost. So Jack Frost is kind of making an appearance, and he's going to have a big role in the story, as we will find out. Especially because he has his own, for the first time in BRIC-A-BRAC, history, we have a backup story with this, and it's called The Tragedy of Jack Frost, illustrated by the guy who does the covers, Tom Barton, and it details the origin of the war as well as Jack Frost's connection to it. So his role will be very big. So.
How long is the main book of issue 2?
So it's going to be 30 pages. The last book was 25 pages or 24 pages, but this one's going to be 30 pages plus the list of backers and a Christmas collage and, whatever extras we find. So we're going to probably put, just like the last issue, we're going to put the variant cover in the back. So that I think about probably 30 pages.
So you're getting 55 pages there if you back number 1 and 2.
Yes.
For $24.
Right.
That's a good price, man.
Now, the last campaign, which failed, was to put everything in one trade paperback to finish it off instead of individual issues.
Yes.
And you credit the timing for maybe why that failed, because it's not Christmas enough. But
yeah.
What made you want to go that way? And I appreciate the individual issues because we started that way. But
yeah,
why were you going to try that?
Well, I think a lot of people complained about this story. I think with these crowdfunding things, I think people want the entire book done. I understand that because I don't know, like especially with the ones on Indiegogo, it seems like your Monster MD or your whatever you have it, like they seem to be their complete stories, and I love that idea. And I was like, if we could just compile it all into one, that might be a good thing. But then I realized, again, I think crowdfunding is an experiment. And I did a little poll online on Twitter, and some people said, "Oh, you should collect it all, and we should just be done, and that would be cool." And I was like, "Okay." And so that's why I launched the campaign. But again, it's an experiment. People say one thing, and then they don't feel the same way when, they see the campaign page or whatever. But anyway, it didn't work. But I do like the idea of doing 2 issues. I think, we're doing 3 now, and actually, the story was going to have to be shorter and more concise if we did it the first way. So I'm actually happy that we're doing it with 3 issues because we can expand. And not only that, we might have the option of adding another backup story when issue 3 comes out, maybe 2. I already have an idea for one, which features Father Christmas and, kind of just like a full-on action thing. So, I think actually doing these single issues will add more value to things. So, yeah.
That seems to be the kind of majority consensus, I feel. The people who are doing the big long books, Monster MD, you mentioned, Liam Gray with Xenotype comes to mind. There are others. They do like to sell on that. This is a story with the beginning, middle, and end. It's all contained, and that is great. That is a big selling point. But you do run into other issues like you've no doubt found out about. I know shipping can sometimes be a thing. Obviously, higher printing costs, especially if it's your first book or you're an unknown creator or something like that. I'm totally just kind of used to and fine and happy to back things that are going to be part of an ongoing thing. And I think a lot of people are, and it does seem to make it so much more manageable if it comes in kind of bite-sized bits in terms of cost and how quickly you're going to get it. And also I think it's good for the creator as well. You have the potential to make more money because not only can you put out say these 3 things, then assuming they're successful, the following year maybe you put out a special compile all of them together in a hardcover or something.
That's what BoogieBot suggested, was eventually a hardcover.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Absolutely, and kind of make it look more like a storybook, like it, it should really look like. Because it's cool to have the covers, but I would love to have that kind of, just a classic feel. That maybe it feels kind of like a book you could take off the shelf, and
Who's doing your colors? Because they're pretty amazing.
So I have 2 artists working on the book, and just 2. And one is doing the interior arts, Raphael Sam, who, he's doing the majority of the art. Obviously, he's doing the main art for the main story. And then Tom Barton, and both of them color themselves. They both work digitally. And so, that's kind of, they both color themselves. They're beasts. They're absolute savages.
It's really, it's fantastic work. I can actually, now that you mentioned that, I can sort of almost tell that it's the person who's doing the line art is also doing the coloring, because they do as well. A bit what I do is the line art tends to get less heavy because they know in their mind what they're going to be doing with the colors.
Right.
That's just something that I've noticed that I do, and I'm starting to notice on a lot of other artist, colorist people as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I really like the different palettes here. Looks really fun. You've got Santa here. What is this? What are these nutcrackers shooting? Are they lasers? Are they
Yeah, they
nutcrackers with
double.
lasers?
They double as lasers, and they're also the means of which they collect the resource that they want. The reason why they're taking over the planet, which we'll also develop more. We alluded to at the first issue, but it wasn't completely explained. There was mention of Jack Frost in the first issue, but not completely explained his role. So we're going to develop those kind of things. But yeah, that weapon, it harvests this thing called Christmas spirit, which is basically the force of the planet Christmas, and they're going to use it to take over the planet, basically.
Damn nutcrackers!
This is okay. I want to approach this from a weird angle. What was something that helped you grow up?
Help me grow up?
Yeah, even though you're only 21, what helped you move from being a little kid, think like 6, to, teenager to now?
We're getting philosophical here.
I know.
I would say I think a lot of stories, man. I think just stories, and whether for good or for bad, I think a lot of stories are movies that you watch and books that you read. They can give you a kind of not accurate portrayal of life and stuff like that. But I think that a lot of stories did help me kind of grow, whether it be through video games. I was really obsessed with video games at a time. I was really obsessed with toys, making my own stories with toys, actually really into it, almost to an absurd degree. I was like playing with toys when I was like 13 and still playing with toys. Cause I still think toys are awesome, and like people should not be ashamed to play with them. But yeah, I just kind of making little stories up. I wouldn't say that I wrote really again until I was like 13 or 14, but I think stories, just kind of that I grew up in, although I live in New York now, I grew up in a small town, and it was kind of the escape of, just video games. A lot of that kind of thing. I would say that helped me develop. Pretty much.
Because what I'm seeing here, I'm actually starting now that I'm hearing you talk. I'm so behind on other people's streams. I haven't seen you on Valkyrie yet, but I'm seeing you in the main character Garrett now, because he goes in book 1. He goes through losses. Like you've had 4 campaigns that didn't work.
Right.
So he goes through losses in these battles, and yet he's still hopeful. Sort of how you're presenting yourself now is, no, I'm just going to keep on trying, stuff like that. And yet he also, when he gets out on the snow speeder I forget what they called it.
Snow speeder. Yep.
Okay. He gets out on the snow speeder, and the woman from the military whom he's traveling with is telling him, be careful. And he's like, what are you talking about? This is fun. I've never seen this before. It's like, I'm starting to hear that in you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you're probably right about that. Because with Garrett, I think he was a lot, because I was obsessed with Christmas as a kid. And I honestly, to answer your question more, I think it was a part of my growth. I just looked forward to it every year. And I think that I love the stories from it. Honestly, the Polar Express is still to this day one of the movies that I think the emotional journey of that main character, even though the movie's a little goofy and it could improve in some ways, I think it's very emotional and a great story. But I think that story is very relatable. The story of like a young kid just doing something, whether it be Treasure Island or what, I love that story, the journey of kind of going from one place to another and never giving up. And although a lot of people would say, you're crazy, there's no way you can do it, I think that's just really inspiring, just in everyday life, hearing stories about those kind of deeds, I guess.
Yeah. And then you said before, when we were asking about story structure, you said, it's the journey. And of course, the journey components are always loss, setback, challenge, reassessment, ththings like that. But,
yes, absolutely.
So, okay.
I never saw Polar Express, but like I said, we're a big Christmas house. And as you grow older, Ryan, I don't know what your situation is, but Christmas does tend to sort of become less magical. At least it did for me and a lot of my friends, until you have kids again, and then it's all back and you get it in a whole different way, and it becomes, it's not quite the same because you're on the other side of it, but it does become just as magical in a whole nother way. And yeah, we look forward to those Christmas movies. And some of the new ones are pretty good too.
Yeah, and I would also say, to add to that, a lot of this story is about honestly the values of Christmas. Like, I know that sounds cheesy, but you take away the gifts, you take away the imagery, like, just take it all away. What is Christmas really at the core? And I think it's as cheesy as it sounds, just trying to be the best you can be every day, just trying to be the absolute best you can be for just one day of the year. And if we can do that every day, I just think that some of the values of Christmas I really love. It's deeper than just the imagery, and I think it always has been. And so, and that's something you see in all the Christmas movies. You see in all the Christmas things. It's like that the value set of Christmas, I think, is just really important. I don't know. I find it really valuable.
I'm in absolute agreement here. Sorry, I'm just staring at the art here.
You've got
Really is very impressive.
I've got an art-related question for you, Ryan.
Yes.
So Mike is showing off some art from the upcoming book, and I'm going to put up an image here from the back of book 1. This is Father Christmas by Tom Barton.
Yes. Yep.
Try and get that glare off of there. Now, I really like the character design in this book for pretty much all of them. And I'm not going to give away story points, but those reindeer are possibly the toughest reindeer I've ever seen.
I didn't even realize they were reindeer.
And this version of Father Christmas is no joke.
Yes.
So my question for you is, how much of the character designs came from you, and how much came from your artists?
Yeah, so Raphael, about 2 years ago, designed the original kind of Father Christmas look, but it was for a different kind of character. It was going to actually be some native of the land. So it was just some big tough guy. I was like, okay, I want to develop this as Father Christmas. And that was kind of around the time where the story was developing. It was going to be placed on Earth, but I decided it was going to be its own planet. And so we were going to make it its own planet. But Father Christmas, the reason why he's so large and the reindeer, I mean, he's the greatest warrior on planet Christmas, bar none. But the problem is that the reason he is so powerful, the reason he is alive is Christmas spirit. And now that the Nutcrackers are taking that away from people, his powers have depleted. Garrett doesn't know that yet. And so that was kind of the design for him, though. He is no doubt the most powerful character in all of Planet Christmas. And his reindeer, the idea for them was basically an evolved Pokemon. Like, if you kind of took basically they just look like roided Pokemon. Basically, I wanted to make them look like they've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so, and they could survive in the woodland environment. I think that would be, although in issue 2, there's not a lot of Santa action, I can guarantee you in issue 3, there is. Issue 2, again, is about the journey and then adding on new characters. We will get some, as you can see with the preview pages, there is a lot of drama with Father Christmas, though, and it has to do with someone betraying him and then the whole war. Because ironically, the Nutcrackers used to work for Father Christmas. Now they're his sworn enemies, so there's drama there, and we're going to develop that here. So
cool, nice.
Yeah, that's the reason why I chose, actually, Joe, the thumbnail that I chose. I when I set up these things, I just go look for a thumbnail that I think looks cool. And you've got your main kind of promo image here that we're looking at. But as well, I saw that one that I shared in the thumbnail. And it's got Santa there, he's got his arms bandaged. I think that just looked really cool. Yeah,
that's the flashback basically story where we find out what happened. Because everything was joyous on Planet Christmas before all of this. But something happened, and it has to do with kind of this guy from another planet crash landing on Planet Christmas and telling the Nutcrackers and kind of manipulating them to work for him. And so we will develop the real cause of this whole war, and kind of like the puppet master of everything, this guy. So he's not a Nutcracker, He's from a completely different planet. So
There you go. Oh, where is it? Sorry. BoogieBot Comics has got issue number 2. Thank you so much,
man.
There we go. So you've got a digital copy available for $8.
Yes.
Then you've got a physical copy for just $12. And you said that's 30 pages?
Yes, it is 30 pages. Yep.
That is a nice price. I like to see that. Very affordable. I mean, for the art, that's that's and what it sounds like of the story. Why not grab it? So you got the what's BAB Digital Deluxe?
Oh, BRIC-A-BRAC Digital Deluxe.
BRIC-A-BRAC, right? I'm like, BAB, what's that?
Yeah, they give you
Maybe
a kind of a weird
hyphens in there or
limit. They give you like a weird limit on the words you can put.
No,
in
yes,
the-
I'm familiar with that. Yes.
It's like, well, I have to make something creative. Yeah,
And then physical guys. So for this is everyone. This would be like me. I didn't read the first one, so want to jump into the story now. You would pick up physical copies of issue 1 and 2.
it is an add-on. I will say, everything issue 1 is an add-on. One of the great things about Indiegogo is that you can do that with anything.
Mhm.
And so I love that idea. And it would be the same price, just by the way. It's not like I didn't add shipping to it. So there's no shipping added to if you wanted to add it on to something that already has shipping. It wouldn't make sense to add shipping.
We want to reward our customers for buying more, not punish them.
Yes.
What's in the BRIC-A-BRAC Deluxe?
Yeah, so an exclusive print. So the Jack Frost print will be with that one. And so, yeah, it's just kind of, and then a new bookmark. It's not going to feature General Almond. It's going to feature another character. I haven't quite decided yet, but it's not going to be the same. And then I want to kind of, I want to get a stretch goal if we could. Shay and I were talking about maybe making ornaments for everyone, and just like really better ornaments. Last time I made some okay ornaments, but I actually have this original art from my friend Carlos who drew a lot of the main characters, and we're gonna kind of make some better ornaments, and hopefully we can give them to everybody. So I'd like to do that maybe for a stretch goal. But
what sort of ornaments? Like what are you talking about with ornaments?
So the characters, and it wouldn't be like a 3-dimensional ornament, or it would kind of just be like a flat ornament, that it would be easy to ship and stuff. I mean, it's not going to be, big and bulky. That would be kind of very difficult to ship. But it would just kind of be, or maybe we could do it so that you could cut it out and make it yourself. I don't know. We're kind of talking about things. Yeah.
And that would
hopefully we could reach that.
Yeah, that would be the kind of thing that kids would enjoy doing.
Right.
If you or parents with kids together, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool to do.
Yeah, you could get something that you cut it into it, and that has those slots, and then you can make something 3-dimensional with the characters. You can kind of do a little fold up thing, make a little tree or something, whatever. That sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Something that you can actually do as well. I know we're not all our campaigns are not at the level where we can make giant lizard 3-dimensional toys yet.
That was awesome, yeah. Or action figures or stuff like that. I would love to do that.
Man, it's crazy what's going on out there now. People are making video games, toys, statues.
Video games. What video
games? Mate of mine, Liam Gray, is having a video game commissioned. It's sort of like a 80s style side scroller, kind of beat 'em up kind of game called Xenotype. A bunch of other people are they're starting to make games. I haven't seen any produced yet, but people are talking about it, and they seem like they're doing it.
There's a guy named Harry Bergeron who is producing a it looks like a third-person shooter with various Comicsgate characters that can essentially, if I remember correctly, he's got a cast of characters you can choose from to play, and then he is also building into the game the ability to import other characters.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so you'd be able to put in your character if
right.
If you can get the model.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah. People are making music. I was in a 6 a.m. comics little music clip thing this morning. I woke up to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He did a little rap, and
That's great.
and then he had Piper falling asleep on my stream. That
Yeah,
seems
there's
to
even
be a thing.
animation.
Yeah. I do animations as well, but a good friend of the show, Camel Moon, he does he has episodes and stuff, and
Oh,
he's
that's
got a
awesome.
comic as well, and he makes little standees, and yeah, there's so much happening. I love it.
I love how
But
crowdfunding can get that way. Just there's you can do anything. You can do anything.
exactly,
You really can.
as long as there's an audience there who are willing to pay, the
Mhm.
sky's the limit, really. And
True.
I feel like we're only starting to scratch the surface because
Right.
just from what I'm seeing, I've been kind of involved in this whole thing for about a year in terms of being a visible sort of creator out there, YouTube and everything. Have my own campaign. It's just growing, and
Yeah, I never thought I'd see the day that like Tony S. Daniel would do a crowdfunding. I just can't believe it. I'm like, wow, that's
Right.
crazy. I mean, it's like, and Scott Snyder. I mean, I understand that he did image stuff, but I just can't. That was a shock today. I was like,
no, I
whoa.
believe it. I called it.
Mhm.
Anyone cares to go back and look at my older commentary videos? I said, look, forget all the, silly social media fighting and name calling. It's
Yeah,
all down to economics.
right.
Just the moment these big guys or even middle guys or whoever in the industry see a bunch of nobodies like me, and I don't want to call you a nobody, Ryan, but people who are not
For sure.
I'm happy calling myself a nobody, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Coming out and making money and getting their books produced, and then they look at other people like Ethan Van Sciver making $1 million. The money is just gonna,
that's crazy.
it's gonna force it. They're gonna say, why am I working here for fifth? We're learning now. Some of them are making slave wages almost.
Yeah, it's not good.
Exactly. The industry is just, anyway, all that stuff aside, they just look at it and just pure economics. I mean, it's a business decision. If you want to be out there making comics now and feed your family going on in the future, it looks like crowdfunding is the way to do it.
That's just awesome. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
love
I
it.
feel there's so much good energy.
Yeah.
And I really like seeing people like yourself, Ryan, BoogieBot Comics in the chat, people who are in their 20s that are getting involved with this stuff now. Because so many of us, when we were in our 20s, I'm in my mid 40s now, and there's a huge number of people in indie comics right now, CG specifically, but also outside and doing their own things and in networking and whatnot in the indie scene. Well, so many of us are in the kind of 35 to 55 sort of age range, because when we were growing up, comics were everywhere. Comics were awesome. It was booming. Everything was great. And then they took a nosedive, and now we're trying to bring it back in a sense. The energy, the excitement, the quality of storytelling and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to bring back the comics scene, if you will, of our youth. But what I'm really I kind of get a thrill out of is seeing guys like you and BoogieBot and others who are in their 20s who they get to get in on this, when you guys are really just starting out your first several years, and then you guys have the potential to be in this for a couple of more decades than others of us.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys can kind of see what it's like for an entire a new generation or a new era, if you will, and then you guys can learn all of the stuff to do or not do or do better, and then take the ball from there and make it even better.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree. It's such a great opportunity. I mean, I know that there's going to be a lot of struggle. Again, it's not for the faint of heart. Crowdfunding will require a lot of you, but once you cultivate a fan group, and it's one of the reasons why I have a podcast. I know that it's not huge now, but eventually you never know, and like that could cultivate. You have to have means of cultivating fans. That's the number one thing. You can't just put it out and say, I need you to do this, I need you to help me. You have to have a means of cultivating fans, and that's why I would persuade people who write comic books to write prose. Why I would persuade people who draw to get on Instagram, but they probably already know that. But maybe also do writing tutorials on YouTube. Like, you just have to be more creative and cultivate. You're a business, and so you have a brand. So it's like I'm starting to learn that, and I think you're like you said. I think that it gives the people an opportunity to do that. Yeah.
The fact that you're learning that lesson at 21 is a good sign. A lot of us, we didn't learn that until our late 30s. That you actually do have to get out there and convince people, almost sort of one-on-one, for them to part with their hard-earned money. Why you above everybody else out there? Why should they invest in you? And it does take convincing, and you're exactly right. Getting out there, like podcasts, I've got this show, there's obviously different ways of doing it, but man, that is exactly right. And I'm happy for you that you've learned it at such a young age.
Right.
Now, there's been a floating question in the chat that I think one person has hammered on a few times. You know your audience, because it's, kids and adults. So you're both a kid and an adult. And you wouldn't put anything in the book that doesn't fit the audience. So someone's been asking, are there any elf beheadings?
No, there are no elf beheadings.
See, it doesn't fit the audience, does it?
Definitely does not fit the audience. I mean, there's some action going on, but if you've seen the first issue, and it's nothing really more than that. The first issue, that's kind of, and he grows his arm back. So in the same page. So hopefully the kids aren't like that spooked, because all they have to do is look 2 panels down. But there's like some war scenes in the first issue, and nothing more than that. Just kind of comic mischief, I guess. Is that what it could be called? Yeah.
By the way, I misread the initial battle, and I thought that they were vacuuming away the fairies and not shooting them.
No, they do. Again, the machines, they have like 2 different functions. They're kind of like, they have a lot of different functions. Maybe I could have like a explanation of what they do, but they have like 3 functions. Like they take the Christmas spirit. They are also blasters. They're alien weapons. The Nutcrackers are not smart enough to make them. And this is what ties into the mysterious puppet master of all of this. That will be definitely we'll get to learn more about him in issue 2. But so they're not Nutcracker weapons, so that's why they're more complex, and they have a lot of functions.
Well, still, I mean,
mystery.
Instead of shooting things, just vacuuming them out of the air is pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it is. I love that scene where they vacuum the fairies and all that stuff, because they don't want them to save the kids. And I love it. I love it.
So just going back to your perks here, the BRIC-A-BRAC super fan.
Yes.
They get a little bundle of stuff.
Yeah, a shirt. And Shay's going to kind of design the shirt. That's kind of just a prototype, but we have. Yeah, and so she's really helping me out with these, because she was kind of disappointed with my ornaments, which is understandably so. They were kind of like kindergarten quality the first time, so we're going to try to make things a little better this time. But so with that one, you kind of get
can create a Christmas character for $110,
and you get all the stuff with that. So you get to create. There's a lot of different factions in the war, so there's a lot of opportunity to just put your character in the back. And it has to be Christmas themed and obviously child friendly, but anything you'd like. Last time we had a cat, we had a unicorn with candy canes for wings. We had a lot of unique characters that we were able to put in. So that was super cool. I love it because it gives that touch of like, this is an independent book and we get to do these things. And, this is just a really cool thing that we can do for the community and something they might like. And I remember the guy whose 2 daughters wanted to make that little unicorn creature, and they were so happy when they saw it in the book. So I was just like, wow, that's cool. Amazing.
And then top tier is you get a sketch from Raphael.
Yes, we're going to try to make them a little bigger than the ones last time. But yes, you get a sketch from Raphael.
And everything else, obviously.
And everything else. Yep.
But By the way, a little while ago in the chat, somebody had said, "No, don't scroll away. Go back. Go back."
Oh,
go back.
sorry. What's going
Somebody
on?
in the chat a while ago had said, "Hey guys, did you notice the guns on Santa there?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the image right there that I was talking about. Look at him.
Yeah, he's massive.
Look at those wrists.
So
Dents.
Ryan, yeah, earlier in the chat when I was asking you about the character's design and specifically Santa and his reindeer, and you were talking about how on Planet Christmas, Santa is the most powerful being around when the story starts. And I was curious on the design of the reindeer. Do the reindeer also have that sort of, they're imbued with the
Christmas
power
spirit.
of Christmas spirit, so they're big and jacked as well. And so if that is stolen, Santa is affected, then the reindeer are also affected.
Yeah, exactly. But we do get to see Garrett use them, but that's in issue 3, and issue 3 will kind of tie into Santa getting his kind of powers back. Because spoiler alert, it will have a happy ending. But there's going to be a massive battle with every single war faction in space, because again, this is definitely a fantasy sci-fi story. We're going in space because we have this alien threat that they kind of need to deal with as a planet. They need to come together and deal with as a planet, but that will be later. But the Christmas spirit is a huge element. It's the resource that powers the earth. It's basically comes off of people when they're really happy all the time. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just like the idea of the Force. And so when people try to steal it, and they're stealing it for this alien creature who's trying to create a weapon called the Solstice Eater that will effectively destroy every planet. So they can just take over and kind of just be to just take over different planets and eat the sun, essentially. And so that's kind of that we'll get into that more definitely with this issue. But the Christmas spirit is a huge theme in the story, for sure.
Well, let's go up to the top because a couple of people have said that they have been sold on your positivity and Christmas cheer, even though it is only August. When the cheer has to come, the cheer has to come. And just trying to get this thing funded. There you go. A couple more backers. Fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I would love to make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it needs to happen because we all want to see that final arc as well, at the end of the story, and then the compiled version.
Yes.
I really just personally like your enthusiasm and your approach to this whole thing. It sounds like you're a really cool guy, and this looks like a really cool project.
Yeah. I'm again, like I said, I'm so blessed to be collaborating with these two. I mean, they're savages. They're awesome artists. And even over the past 2 years, Raphael, used to have a couple thousand followers on Instagram, but now he has like 30,000, and they've just artistically grown. Even in this time. And then Tom, the same thing. He's grown on Instagram, and it's just I'm just so lucky to be able to be around these people who are just super talented, like amazingly talented. And so yeah,
it seems like you came into it at the right time when there's a lot of talent out there, and they're all looking for work.
Right.
So,
yeah,
a door
exactly.
closes and a window opens. Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah, it is how it goes. I mean, Raphael, he does work. He works in an animation company. He worked for DreamWorks for a while, and he works for an animation company. And he lives in Recife, Brazil. And then Tom, my friend Tom, lives in the UK. He's worked on comic books for League of Legends. So he did a book called Olaf Hates Everything, I think is what the book was. It was on a League of Legends site. And he's a game designer. He does designs for games and stuff like that. And so again, these guys are, kind of into their careers, and I'm so glad that they, use their spare time to work on this awesome project with me. So.
Fantastic. All right, guys. This is our hour. It's been up. Brian, hang out when we close off the stream because Blue wants to have a little chat with you after.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. yeah, so everyone, BRIC-A-BRAC 2, it's out now, and yeah, go check it out if you want a cool Christmas story to read to yourself or your kids come Christmas time. I think it looks really good, and Ryan sounds like a really cool guy. Hey, Vinny's here. How you going, Vinny? Good to see you, buddy. And also, as well, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone in the chats, especially new people. This channel has been growing by about 10 subscribers a day, which is really crazy. So anyone here who's new and is liking what they see here, make sure you hit like, and thank you so much for being here. It's really great to see all these people who are excited about comics and all this new crowdfunding and everything. So just fantastic to have you here. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And Joe and Blue, as always, great to chat with you guys. And the sexiest chat in Comicsgate, all you wonderful people here, thanks so much for coming out. And we will see you tomorrow. I'm really excited. Tomorrow we've got a really, really cool guest that we've just met, and I'm really going to enjoy chatting with him. So, yeah, we'll see you then. All right, guys. Bye.